Captain always checks a note in his wallet before each takeoff. The note reads, "Better delay than disaster." He considers it his lucky charm. However, on this particular day, his plane had barely been in the air for 5 minutes when a massive flock of birds suddenly appeared ahead. The powerful impact of the birds instantly robbed the engines of thrust. Even worse, both engines were damaged by the bird strike. Despite contacting the tower, Sully's 42 years of flying experience told him their only option was to ditch in the Hudson River. The tower controller kept calling Sully, warning that water landings have less than 1% success rate. At that point, the aircraft was barely 50 meters above the water. In this critical moment between life and death, although passengers were terrified and anxious, they fully cooperated with all instructions. The lives of all 155 people aboard were entirely in Sully's hands. Seeing Sully's unwavering determination, the first officer didn't waste words with unnecessary talk, just provided full support. As they prepared for the forced landing, Sully made final adjustments to the aircraft's angle. After gliding several hundred meters on the water, the plane perfectly floated on the Hudson. He quickly left the cockpit to ensure orderly passenger evacuation. A flight attendant, despite her injured ankle, immediately helped with passenger evacuation. Emergency exits were opened as passengers moved onto the wings. The Coast Guard spotted them and immediately called for backup. Air rescue teams were dispatched right away. All available rescue units promptly positioned themselves by the wings to save the passengers. It hardly seemed like a plane crash. With support from multiple agencies, the rescue operation concluded quickly. Though Sully didn't immediately know how many had been rescued, when he learned everyone had survived, he finally felt relief. He had achieved an unprecedented miracle and became a genuine hero in people's eyes. But the safety board investigators thought differently. According to repeated calculations by aviation experts, they believed the plane had sufficient power to return to the airport given its altitude and speed. Facing a series of ridiculous questions from investigators, Sully felt a whirlwind of emotions. For over 40 years, he had safely transported millions of passengers. This time, he had done everything possible to fulfill his duty. Yet confronted with hard data, Sully couldn't find words to respond. He knew data shouldn't lie, but with his 42 years of flying experience, he was absolutely certain. His instincts and memory in that moment couldn't be wrong. Weeks had passed since the incident. Throughout the city, stories of Sully's heroism still played everywhere. The friendly patrons at a bar offered him some comfort. Right then, the word timing, mentioned by a TV reporter, gave Sully an insight. He immediately told his friend he wanted to see the expert simulation at the hearing. On the hearing day, Sully got to see the simulation as requested. The investigators thought Sully's request was unnecessary, but they clearly overlooked something. While the simulation used actual pilots, it was pre-programmed with known flight paths and scenarios. Under these conditions, it was as simple as stepping out for milk. The reality was, thousands of feet in the air, no one had warned Sully in advance. No one had told him both engines would fail. The 155 lives on that plane were in his hands alone. Facing this unprecedented disaster, all he could rely on was his own experience. The hearing atmosphere grew increasingly tense. Then, the first officer requested they listen to the cockpit recording. After hearing it, the investigators' arrogance disappeared. They were deeply impressed by the perfect coordination between Sully and his first officer. At that point, the missing left engine was recovered from the river. The evidence proved the data was wrong.